All right, man. Good episode as we are cruising into Father's Day weekend.
We've got the Myrtle Beach Pelicans lease renewal.
Coastal starts their Omaha World Series today.
Yeah, hopefully they get through that. We've got River Oaks, not country club, but
golf course
closing.
Talk about some ramifications from that. Talk about contract cancellation percentages across the country.
Yeah, May average sales.
Yeah, hit on some year-to-date closed sales here. Yeah, it's a good one. Check it out.
Welcome to the UpSwing, where real estate is boring, but the people and their stories are interesting.
Why you seem so much taller? You got a high chair over there?
I'm raised up, and I'm trying to sit up straight so I don't lean back. My goal is to lean forward, because if I sit back here, I lose the mic. So, and we have I've got bad posture, so.
My posture's not great either.
All right, so another episode of the UpSwing. It's Friday. What is it, June 13th?
Friday the 13th.
Yeah, I just remembered that it is my anniversary this weekend as well. I actually was.
Hopefully you literally didn't just remember that.
No, I mean, sometimes it slips your mind a little bit, over the years. But I knew it was on Father's Day.
We got a lot of things going on in town, though, overall. A few things to hit on. Our Coastal Carolina baseball recap.
Yep.
I still don't necessarily understand the whole Omaha bracket, but they're there. They play today at 2:00 against Arizona and win and keep rolling.
Yeah. I mean, I think we play at 2:00. And then if we win or lose, no matter what, we're going to play again on Sunday, either at 2 or 7 against the other team in our bracket. And then from there, it goes on till I believe they'll play again Tuesday. Possibly Wednesday, but hopefully they can just keep on winning.
That's pretty awesome. Definitely buzzed around town. I know a buddy of mine's having a watch party today at 2:00, so it'd be cool.
Yeah. The other thing we've got is the Pelicans. I'm not sure if you saw this. I know that you knew that the lease was up and things like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So ultimately, the Pelicans were on the verge of actually leaving Myrtle Beach and that whole stadium, and then possibly that stadium being redeveloped by the city for something else. But, for me, I mean, I feel like it's been there as long as we've been here, right?
Probably close to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for a single A baseball stadium, it's a pretty awesome stadium for single A.
Yeah. It's hard to understand. I guess ultimately the Pelicans or the affiliate does not own the stadium. The city and the county do, right? So the county has always owned 30% of the stadium. And so I guess the county didn't really want to contribute too much. They didn't want to have to be responsible for all the upfits, things like that. So the Major League Baseball came in and said, every minor league stadium has to be up to these certain standards by the start of 2026. And those standards for our stadium are anywhere from $15 to $20 million. So that money has to come from the city and the county. And so that's why they were on the verge of actually losing the lease. But they did come to an agreement. It's a 30-year lease for the Pelicans to stay in the city of Myrtle Beach. It's a total of $25.5 million that the Pelicans will actually pay the city of Myrtle over that 30-year span. Up front, they have to help with the renovations, again, anywhere from $15 to $20 million to meet the MLB standards by 2026. I think that I read that the city is going to basically just take out bonds to be able to help pay for that. But ultimately, I mean, in the end, the city is also going to get the county's transferring ownership of the 30% to the city. So now the city will actually have 100% control over the stadium. 30 years from now, they won't be dealing with the county for anything. The county is also going to pay the city $6 million. So numbers wise, it looks like over 30 years that the city is going to come out on top. Anywhere from $5 to $10 million, and that's not counting
obviously their tax revenue for that thing's got to be pretty good. We don't know the privy to those numbers, but
yeah,
I think it's all. I mean, the Pelicans to me are, I don't want to say a staple of our town, but it's something we talk about a lot. Like for people that are here, it's 2 seconds from our office. It's great. People that are out of town, we talk about it. It's kind of just a cool attraction.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, I think they could do more with it. I feel like, maybe it's not set up. I think for a while, maybe they were trying to do some concerts and things like that there. But, I know it's kind of to have a concert, then it's, you're losing a lot of seats like on the field or whatever. But, I feel like there could be some other, events that they could do at that stadium, and hopefully they figure that out. But ultimately, the outcome: city gains full ownership and control of the stadium. The Pelicans secure a long-term home, and the county limits its financial exposure. So, all in all, I think it's a pretty good deal.
Win-win.
Yeah. Did you see about the River Oaks stuff? River Oaks Country Club, which I mean, we've been playing for a long time. I know
it's
you
called
probably...
River Oaks Golf Course, not Country Club necessarily.
Okay, yeah,
it's actually
you're right. You're right.
It's actually, that course gets a ton of play. It's in the middle of kind of Myrtle, right across the waterway, and they do tons of tournaments. It's funny, it's always busy, but it's always been in the news for being redeveloped. Like, it's always been, is it going to sell? Is it not going to sell? I know it definitely was under contract at one point in time. But this
is the course. Was I with you when we almost died going across the bridge? Or maybe I was with.
I feel like it's happened to a lot of different people because
Luke.
that thing goes like straight downhill.
Yeah, and then it takes a sharp left, and I think that one we almost died on that one time.
They probably definitely had some wrecks in some of those suckers.
Oh yeah, definitely some curbage. But yeah, so that the whole country club was made up of 27 holes, right? And 2 years ago they did sell 9 holes off. So Chris Manning, Properties, he's a developer here in town, Chris Manning Communities, and he purchased the 9 holes for a certain amount. He then actually just sold those 9 holes to Mungo Homes, and they plan to build 200 homes on that 9-hole part of the course, and that is actually already underway and kind of already being developed. Actually, I think 220 homes, and then Manning, at the same time, in February of 2024, he actually purchased the remaining 18 holes for $9.2 million. It covers 172 acres, and it plans to have another 370 homes. So it's going to close at the end of the year. It's going to be sad to see it go, but it's going to bring another 600 homes just right there across the waterway. And I think some of it might be on the waterway.
No, it's a great location.
Yeah.
So like Waterway Village. So yeah, I mean, we talked about it 2 days ago, right? And then last night, one of my clients that bought something from us a couple of years ago in Waterway Village sent me an email like, "Hey man, this stinks, crap. What do you think about what it's going to do?" He actually rents it on Waterway Village is allowable for short-term rentals. So River Oaks condos are on most of those holes, but then Waterway Village are on 2 holes, I think, or like 1.5 holes maybe. And so he does Airbnb. So now he's like, what's going to happen to my Airbnb income? What do you think? What should I do? So it's, obviously too early to know ramification wise with it, but it's the good and the bad with growth, right? It's what our podcast is about, UpSwing, kind of everything going on, growth wise across our market, and golf course closures are just, I live on Pine Lakes, right? So I live on the golf course of Pine Lakes. The
granddaddy.
Yes. The oldest course in town. And I don't own the course, right? So my land goes to the course. We won't dig into it, but a number of years ago, it was actually 2006, I guess, range, like talked about being redeveloped. There was a deal that they changed some density on the other side. So hopefully it won't be going forward. But the reality is, like, you can live on a golf course, but you got no control over what happens, with it overall. And this is kind of a case with it. I know as we talked about people that were buying there, like, you just you have to say that, right? So you never really know what could happen. And basically, so River Oaks, Waterway Village, St. Andrews townhomes would be on. Those are kind of the 3 more or less like condominium communities that are on the course. But I tell people, like, it stinks you're not going to get like the open golf course view, but it's not a landfill they're going to put in there. Like, it's going to be houses. It's going to be nice houses.
Yeah.
That'll kind of meander through it. If you think about Deerfield, is another community that, this course closed a long time ago, but the only thing that's a little bit of an oddity at Deerfield, like a bunch of residential houses were built in the 80s on that course. And
it's a little choppy in there with,
it's just strange because
they older homes mixed with some new homes on like one hole at a time, and different builders took different holes. And
because it's funny when you look at the overview, it makes sense, where you're like, you can see that builder bought like 2 or 3 golf holes, and then basically has a street that goes in the middle, and you got houses on each side, and then your house backs to a 1985 house. So it's a little bit strange, but that's kind of the path of growth we got, man. That River Oaks is, it's an A+ location for residential here. Like, you got great school zones over there.
I saw, kind of similar, like Cypress River Plantation, that the Myrtle Beach Golf and Yacht had closed a while back. D.R. Horton bought up a bunch of that. And then just recently they started developing the holes right around the front of Cypress River Plantation, which Cypress River is a gated community on the waterway.
Yeah, super nice.
And a lot of those houses are $500,000 to $800,000 houses, and now D.R. Horton came in and actually is building some nice houses, but just some $400,000 or $500,000 homes and single family, no pool type stuff, but I mean, it's happening everywhere. I think there's been 6 or 7 courses closed really over the last, I don't know, 8 or 9 years or something. I mean,
you think about at the height, these are just some ballpark numbers. They're pretty close. Like I think at the height of the golf course, development, we were like 120 golf courses. And now I think it's like, that's the whole Grand Strand, right? So it actually goes into North Carolina, down to Georgetown, west as well. But I think we're at like 90 or less that have just kind of.
Do you think we'll ever lose the name, like, golf capital of the world? Or, and I don't know if that's something where it's, just, I guess it's based off of the amount of courses. I feel like
it's a self-proclaimed thing.
I guess. Yeah.
But
if you think about it, like where else has this many courses in a, 60, 70 mile span? I don't know.
I think that's, I think we'll retain that title. I mean, unfortunately, like no knock on River Oaks, but I mean, the courses that are selling are generally speaking the dumpier course. Like Myrtle Beach Golf and Yacht was a dumpy course. Raccoon Run across that dumpy course. So those are the ones that are just being developed where the better courses are still kicking along there.
Do I live on Raccoon Run or Robert Roos?
No, Robert Roos was in North Myrtle Beach. That close as well. Dumpy course.
Yeah.
So you live in Raccoon Run. Used to be. I played that in college for like $15.
Right. I remember playing there too. I don't think you had to wear a shirt.
I don't even. I didn't.
Yeah. So that's kind of cool. Yes. I think I do remember
our CCMF recap.
Yeah, it was eventful. It was 4 days full of fun. First night it poured for a while. We got rained on a good bit, but it was still hot outside. I mean, the rain didn't really affect us too much. So a lot of the performers still just played in the rain. There was no lightning, so it went pretty well. But 4 days for 45-year-olds is tough. It's tough on the legs.
I made it a day and a half.
Yeah, day and a half.
Friday.
Yeah.
On Saturday.
Brian actually dipped on me on Saturday. He actually did not say goodbye to me.
I was kind of yelling to you, and I
turned around and he was not there anymore, and I was like, man, he just did the Piercy dip. It was crazy.
That was true. It was good. Jelly Roll was actually good, and that was when I left in the middle of that. He was pretty good.
Yeah. We Friday night was it was a lot. It was kind of a blur, but just leaving Friday night was insane. It was. Tried to walk up 8th Ave and they had like most of it blocked while a lot of people from General Mission were walking back towards the boulevard. And we were just sandwiched against like the glass, just trying to walk up from the main stage. And it was pretty miserable. It was not very fun. So
what else we got? So we just dropped. So our new, I don't even know if it went out or yet. We got our newsletter that, so we try to like every week, right? Just send a newsletter to our database that's just kind of high level stats, numbers. It's pretty cool. Matt actually brought this up that he noticed that May. So bear with me here. So we got our May, it's middle of June right now. So we got our May year end stats. And so this was the 4th year in a row that May hit the highest sale price. Now, obviously, like we got to go through the rest of this year, but basically the last 3 years, May was the highest sale price. So basically prices worked their way up. And this is average sale price across our whole MLS, condos and homes collectively combined. And so we did happen again. So basically May of 2025, average closed sale price, $398,226. So again, a high number. Even as our market slowed, down a little bit, it's still prices are still ticking up. We're seeing it pull back in some different smaller segments. That's a whole big different can of worms and get into that. But and then overall, so I pulled volume. So in that newsletter, I dropped through May, we have closed to our MLS $2.66 billion in closed sales. Same period last year, it was $2.88 billion. So 200 million less in total closed sales across our whole entire MLS. So continuing to slow down a little bit, but still pretty big, big number for our market.
It's a big number, $2.6 billion just in our MLS, which is, just really the coast here and CCAR. It's
a lot for us, small market.
Yeah. And we've had a few listings this past week. We got some videos. Weather wasn't that great all week long. We kind of had some rain all week, but kind of pushed through that and we're able to get some videos out there. And I think you've been super busy with getting some stuff under contract too, right?
We had a bunch of buyer stuff. Yeah. So it's funny. I was talking with another good agent, broker, owner in town. And like her theory is always like the first 2 weeks of June are always super slow. Just kind of a product of like graduations and people aren't in fully summer mode yet. But like, yeah, we've been pretty jamming through first week and a half, 2 weeks or so of the month office wise. This is a cool another stat. So keep on the real estate theme, kind of national theme. So this is only data through April. You got this on a couple of different platforms, but basically contract cancellations were up. So April was, I don't know, relatively just basic contract cancellations were up to a little over 14% across the country. So 56,000 home purchase agreements were canceled in April. So when you say canceled, like it's basically we're under contract. I'm under contract to buy your house and the deal falls through. Right. For some reason. So I try for our office, we actually run about like 8 to 10%, like always have. So basically, and that's for a whole bunch of reasons, right? I mean,
we're talking about inspections and CL 100, termite inspections, things like that.
Appraisal could fall through. Our contracts now have a due diligence period, which technically is super open ended. So a buyer can like just frankly change their mind.
Right.
They're going to kick a termination fee to a seller, but yeah, so interestingly, I didn't dig deep enough for like the root of it, but I mean, part of it, April was also the crazy month where, tariffs and stock market stuff. And, I was talking to a buddy in Dallas and he was like, man, they had a bunch of deals that were falling through and people weren't doing anything because they were just in kind of standstill. So that could have been a lot of it too. Like where, hey, I'm an investor, I'm under contract. Hey, I'm holding tight a little bit to figure out what's going to happen with the market. But we'll see how that shakes out and where it goes from there. But 14% is a pretty high number, but again, getting the root of where it goes. So bigger question.
Right.
I got threatened to call the police called on me this week. So there's talking about closings, walkthroughs. It's kind of a crazy scenario.
I know you didn't tell me this one. You were trying to save this for the pod.
So agent reaches out and she was like, hey, my buyer is calling this. Meanwhile, I thought this closed like the day before. It's like this Tuesday or Wednesday. Hey, my buyer's calling the police on everyone involved in the transaction. Like, what's going on? Someone broke into their house. This is crazy. I'm like, hold on, what was going on? So I called her and she's like, yeah, the buyer got there and they put a new lock on the door. The whole lock had been drilled out of the door. It was completely removed. There's a broken key in another side door. Like, what's going on? And I'm like, hold on. Like, is anything going down in the house? She's like, I don't think so. So got to the bottom of it, figured out this is one of our clients that flips properties and the house was renovated. So the contractor knew, which is a good contractor. He like always does everything right. He knew that the key didn't work right. Like the front door, like it just kind of spun, like you get it to work, but didn't spin. But we didn't know about it. Right. Maybe it got to the seller. I didn't know about it. So he sent one of his guys, like put a work order in. It wasn't him doing it. That said, hey, go to this house, change the front door lock out, change the deadbolt out. Well, I guess that guy got there, didn't call him. The buyer who closed the evening before put an electronic lock system on the door.
Oh, geez.
And that guy, he just was following directions like, hey, change the lock and put a new deadbolt in. So he took her thing completely and then took it with him too. And this property's in Georgetown. So basically trying to get to the bottom of it. Like we were like, hold up, don't call the cops. Like, let me figure out what's going on with it. So long story short, contractor sent his guy back there. I'm like, what did he do with the lock? He's like, well, he kept the lock. I'm like, we got to take the lock back, dude. It was a brand new lock. Like he should have gotten them. The contractor was like, dude, he should have called me and said, hey, like there's an electronic lock. What do you do? I'm going to change this thing out. But I guess the guy just took his orders and knocked it out. So
yeah, a little miscommunication, but that was a little dicey. But yeah, the
seller was actually pissed. They actually were like, you know what? Like just bring us our lock back and leave and we're good. So that was what we ended up doing with the contractor. But anyway.
You mean the buyer?
The buyer. Yeah, the buyer said, don't change anything. Just bring our dang electronic lock back, leave it at the front door, and get the heck out of here.
I mean, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, it basically is like
they were free. It was two ladies that bought it, two sisters that bought it together, so they were like kind of freaked out.
Yeah,
someone went there, and I don't know we couldn't figure out what they were talking about the key was broken in the side door. I don't think that was 100% true, but maybe
because they were trying to use the old key, and I don't know.
Yeah, but I don't think there was anyway. Yeah. The side door had a different key is part of the issue with it.
Yeah, who knows?
Anyway, I've been threatened to have the police called on me for a while, but
yeah, that always is scary when you're going to showings and we try to make sure we knock, ring the doorbell a bunch. A lot of times when you're doing condos, you barely do that. You give like a single knock and then you're in. But
you definitely walk in on some people sometimes.
Yeah, heard some horror stories about that. So we've got Father's Day weekend and my anniversary as well on the same day. I think. Does that mean like I kind of get shafted a little bit?
That's probably 50-50 deal there.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's basically like if we had Father's and Mother's Day on the same day. I don't know. I think that's kind of
that's definitely a little give and take there.
Yeah,
I think you and your lady need to go out and leave the kids at home, so take the night out. I just got an interesting text. My mom just said, "I got some cousins coming into town for the weekend," and she said, "We've been planning on, hey, we're gonna do pizza at my mom's house on Tuesday," and she just said, "I think we might have a problem with our AC. Can we do pizza at your house?" And I said, "Okay, how many people?" And she said 18. My wife probably not too happy about that. Just said 18 people to your house on Tuesday.
That's a party.
So yeah, I don't know. We'll see how that shakes out for it. But I'm out of town this weekend, taking the kids this afternoon. We're heading out to
where are you going?
Charlotte Whitewater Center.
Okay,
actually, it should be pretty cool.
I've definitely seen pictures of it. What all
we
they
only
have
went
there?
one time. We went one time in the winter when it was ice skating, but it's super cool. So it's basically Charlotte. It's like literally man-made rafting stuff. So it goes, there's different, I gotta be different routes. Cause I've seen some of them, my youngest kid's 8. So there's some that start at 8-year-olds and then 12-year-olds, I think, and on up from there. But
I've seen kayaks and stuff too, right?
Yeah. I think you do single kayak. We won't be doing that. We'll be doing get 6 people on a raft and raft it down there. But there's that. There is, mountain bike trails, hiking trails, huge, crazy kid playground stuff. There's zip line. So I'm always pushing the envelope. So I told my kids that they're on the zip line, and then my daughter started crying.
Yeah,
so I'm not on a zip line, and I thought it'd be a good idea to pull up a YouTube and hey, let's just see. It looks fun, and that got them freaked out more. Look how high this is. This is crazy.
Yeah,
can't be doing this. And Molly's you shouldn't have told them. We should have just dropped it on them. We've got to prep them a little bit for it. But
yeah, I mean, I think Colstock's ready to go though. He wanted to have the GoPro. He wanted to film a little bit. So
he was pumped this morning. So
yeah, that'll be
report back on that. We'll hit that all day Saturday and then come back on Sunday. So. Crazy.
Yeah, we'll have to try to at least post something when it comes to Colstock. Maybe hear him screaming while he's flying on that thing.
Ship him on something. But.
Yeah, that'll be sweet.
Oh, next week we got some guests.
Yep.
You want to talk about it? Teaser.
Yeah, we've got Miss Myrtle Beach
and Miss Grand Strand.
Miss Grand Strand, yes.
Yeah.
I got confused between. I guess there's another one as well, but yes, we've got
Brad Taylor, one of our good agents. Yeah. He and his business, Taylor Wellness, they're one of the sponsors or kind of creator. I don't know what their title is. Probably should have known that, of Miss Myrtle Beach, and so we're a sponsor of these guys as well. And so next weekend is the actual Miss South Carolina competition. We don't know a whole heck of a lot about it, but we're going to interview those two.
Yeah, so it'll kind of be, we're going to do it Tuesday, so it might be just a one-off of discussing, some stuff with them, and they'll be our first guests in here, so we'll see how it goes, and it'll be set us up for future guests as we move forward.
I know we've had a couple people that have reached out and I want to be one of your guests, so we'll have to start we got to build a list, see where it goes.
Yeah.
All right, let's do it.
All right, see you on the flip side.
Makes it see on the upside.